Okay, so let's continue chapter 10, biology by 131. We're doing chapter 10 of biodiversity, and we're doing the animals. And this is part two of chapter 10, which is animals. So now we're talking about the chordates, which is the last type. Chordates means again the one that have chords, not necessarily vertebrates or the backbone, but they do have chordates. Cord, they like our spinal cord. They have some sort. It doesn't have to be exactly like ours or like animals. It can be a lot more simple than that, but it's a cord anyway. Cord means like a film, looks like a film of nervous system that looks like a film. This is called chordates. The vast majority have vertebra, like our vertebral column, these vertebrae, which we call it the backbone. Um, so most of the chordates are vertebrates, not all of them, not 100%. So something like this, like fishes, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, all of these are different types of vertebrates, which is the vast majority of the chordates. So what do we have in, so we're discussing the last one, which is chordates, the one that have chords. So chordates includes lancels, tourniquets, fishes, amphibians, reptiles, and mammals. All of these uh, are considered different types of chordates. Again, vertebrates. Which chordates, and most of them are vertebrates. Again, chordates. We're talking about chordates, about this phylum of chordates. The phylum is chordates. Most of the chordates are vertebrates. Most of them have, not 100%, but most of them have the vertebra or the backbone. Lancelets, tourniquets, fishes, amphibians, reptiles, mammals. These are all considered chordates. General features, there are four features that's always found in all chordates. And especially if you're looking at the embryo, not the adult. The adult will have differences, but if you get the embryo of each one of of all different types, you will see four features in common. They have this pharyngeal slits. They will have a hollow nerve cord, chordate, it's coming from cord, this. And they also usually have a notochord. A notochord is something to strengthen and to support the nerve cord. And they usually have some sort of a tail in a way or the other. And again, we're talking about the embryos. If you get the human embryo, it will look like this. Of course, you don't have tail, but if you look at the embryo, it does have a tail that's like a small tail. It's not a real tail, just like an end like this that will disappear. And so there is something at the end that looks like the beginning of the tail. It's not a real tail, as we all know. There are two groups of the chordates that two chordate groups that are classified into invertebrate. So we're starting with invertebrate. In, when you see in at the beginning of any word, or if you see an or un or even im, any one of those four as a prefix, it means no. In, un, an, am, any one of those means no. So in vertebrates, no vertebrates. It's a chordate, but it does not have vertebra or the backbone. They do not have it. Lancelets, like this, does not have a vertebral column or that does not have vertebra or backbone. And tourniquets also don't have backbone or vertebra. Uh, Landslets are these animals. They filter the water. They put the water in their mouth. They filter it, and they catch smaller animals, and they get rid of the rest. Tourniquets are sessile. Sessile means immovable. Immovable. IM is another term that means no. So remember, AN, IN, UN, AM, IM. Any one of those means no. A prefix. So this is immovable. I am immovable. Cannot move. I am. And they also filter the seawater. Tourniquets filter the seawater. So this is for invertebrates. Any other chordates are vertebrates. So now we're talking about the vertebrates. And when we say vertebrates, means we're talking about endoskeleton. Endo means internal. Exo means external. Exo is like arthropods, something else. We're talking about the vertebrate now, which is endoskeleton, internal skeleton, which is the backbone plus skull. Like this is the skull. And starting from here, all of this is called the backbone. Like ours, if you look at our skeleton, you will see this vertebral column in the back. This is called the backbone. So skull plus backbone. And the backbone, which consists of vertebrae. Look out at the vertebral column, you will find vertebra, 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 vertebra. It's not one bone, as we know. It's bone after bone, vertebra, 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 and there's disc, vertebra, disc, vertebra, disc. There are vertebra disc, vertebra disc. There are discs in between each two successive vertebrae, but all together is the vertebral column in humans, and we just call it backbone if we're talking about vertebrae or vertebrates in general. Um, there are different groups of vertebrate, but of chordates, I mean, but we can start from here again. Ancestor chordates give us the first one, which is the least advanced, which is the lancelets. Um, we mentioned that chordates in general, they have a hollow nerve cords and notochord and pharyngeal slits and tail. We discussed this. This is in common of any chordate, whether it is vertebrate or not. This is in common, and I showed you the picture, which is this. They share all of this. So this is in all of them. The first one is lancelets. Obviously, it will have this, but that's it. You don't have any additional things. Tourniquet is the next one. And then starting from here, anything else will have a skull and backbone. From here down. So remember the first two only. Everything that we're talking about here is chordates. The first two are chordates, but not vertebrates. Anything else is vertebrate, means they have vertebrae, which is referring to the backbone, but they have a skull as well. Like hagfishes, like lampreys, cartilaginous fishes, bony fishes, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, all of these, starting from here all the way down, they all share skull and backbone. The hagfish and lampreys, they just have the backbone and the skull. But then the jaw evolutionary adaptation was added to cartilaginous fishes, bony fishes, amphibians, reptiles, and mammals. And then calcium hardened skeleton. The skeleton, instead of being cartilage, cartilage is something like this. This is cartilage. It's not that hard. But if you add calcium to it, it's calcium hardened skeleton starting from the bony fishes, amphibians, reptiles, and mammals. And then they started to add another evolutionary adaptation, which is having four limbs, like amphibians, reptiles, and mammals. And then they started to have amniotic eggs, like reptiles and mammals only. What's the amniotic egg? It means an egg that's inside a sac that contains fluids, and it is inside of that. inside the sac of fluid called the amnions. Um, so obviously from here down, they all share, as we see here, the vertebrae. They have the which is the endoskeleton. Endoskeleton is a skeleton inside skull and backbone. When you say a skeleton, you mean the whole thing. It's an endoskeleton, the whole thing, skull and backbone. And then from here, tetrapods, or the four limbs started from this, from amphibians. Tetra means four, like bi, tri, tetra. Bi, tri, tetra. 2, 3, 4. So they have four limbs, including amphibians, reptiles, and mammals. Whether the mammals are using the four legs to walk, or like us, or different types of like gorillas or monkeys or something, they can mainly use two as foot as feet and the other one as hand, but sometimes they can use all four. Irrespective, they have four anyway. And the last two share the amniotes, and we will discuss the details, but remember the last two share the amniotes, which is that amniotic sac containing the egg. If you look at this, this is just an introduction to this part. Dolphin, is that a fish or mammal? It is a mammal, but looks exactly like fish, but it counts as mammal because it belongs to the mammals here. It doesn't belong to the fish, it belongs to the mammals, but it looks like a fish. Even though if you compare shark to dolphin, they look the same in the body shape, but you cannot put them under the same category because the dolphin is a mammal. Mammals means mama, means breast, means milk production. So lancelets and tourniquets, we talked about those. And these are invertebrates. Now the vertebrates. Starting from the hagfish. They said that the very first fish, which is obviously the hagfish, was about 540 million years ago. The fish is the first one that started to evolve a jaw, like an evolutionary adaptation of a jaw, so they can get something and they can break it down before they swallow it. And the modern fishes are the ones that still here are the hagfishes, the lampreys, the cartilaginous fishes, and the bony fishes. These are the different types. Obviously, we're going with least advanced to more advanced because they added like a jaw later on. So here are the hagfishes. They do have a skull, but they don't have backbone or a jaw, obviously, because it's before the jaw. The lampreys, they also have a skull, but they have a backbone, still no jaw. Cartilaginous fishes means the fish that have cartilage inside, like their endoskeleton is not bone. It's cartilage. Cartilage is like this. Bone is like this. Like if you feel your own nose, this part, the tip part is cartilage. You can move it. It's not that hard. But the other part of your bone of your skull, like I mean of your nose, is the bony part. So these cartilaginous fishes, they have actually cartilage, which is kind of flexible. Um, and they usually have gills, and the gills are another adaptation for breathing. They get the gases from dissolved in the water. And most of them are marine predators, means they catch something in the water. Next is the bony fishes. Fishes, but instead of having cartilage at an endoskeleton, these ones, they have bone, actual bone, strong, calcified. They have calcium. When you add calcium to the cartilage, it will change into a bone, which is a lot harder. So this is the first one. The bony fishes are the first fishes to have an internal skeleton that's actually hard, bony skeleton, calcium. What else do they have? They have swim bladder, gas-filled sacs. They have gas-filled sacs, and this is why they can easily float. They don't like dip down deep into the water. They can float easily because they have swim bladder, something like a gas-filled sac. That's to maintain their um, buoyancy, and buoyancy means okay. Um, the recording stopped for a little bit, but we will continue. So we have the swim bladder to maintain their buoyancy, which is floating. They can float. They also have something called operculum. Operculum is something that cover an aperture or an opening. So like these. These are going to cover operculum. That's cover the aperture or cover the openings. So the openings are not exposed. In order to circulate water over the gills. It's like the water moves in between and go to the gills. They absorb the gases dissolved in the water. Some people think that they split the water and take like the oxygen from the water. No, they don't do that. They take the oxygen that's continuously dissolved by forcing the water to circulate over these gills, and they take the oxygen or they take the gases. And here are examples, different examples. These are just examples, not the whole thing. Like the lake trout, like the butterfly fish, like the tuna, like the seahorse. All of these are different types of bony fishes that share the characteristic of having a bony endoskeleton. There are another type of fishes that's called the loop-finned fishes. Um, this is another evolutionary branch. It's a bony fish, but added another evolutionary adaptation, which fin means end. Loop finned means they have loops at the end, meaning they have muscular fins to support their bodies. Um, and it looks like the amphibian limb bones, something like additional like this. Loop fin, like lungfishes is considered a loop fin, which is having this end that's like a muscular end that supports the body, and it's supported by a rod-shaped bone to support them. So this is another branching evolutionary branching. Uh, so if you look at these, you should be able to tell what's the phyla. After you study, you can take a look at it and revision. And the next one after we did the cartilaginous fishes, we did the bony fishes. All of these have the jaw. Beside, of course, the vertebrae or the vertebral column or the endoskeleton, which is the head and the bone, the backbone. All of these they added the jaw, and we did the cartilaginous fishes and the bony fishes. Now amphibians. Um, there is something that's shared in between all terrestrial or terrestrial vertebrate. Terrestrial is like not like marines. Terrestrials mean on Earth. Marines mean in the water. So any or an all terrestrial vertebrae are tetrapods. All of them are tetrapods. Any vertebrae that lives on Earth will have four pods or legs or limbs. Amphibians are the first one to have these tetrapods or four pods. If sometimes you use a tripod, which is you put your camera on it or your phone on it to take pictures or something, and they call it that because it have three legs. This one have tetrapods or four legs. Amphibian will followed by reptiles, and reptiles also includes the birds. So, but we're talking about amphibians now. Amphibians means anything that lives both in the land and in the water. They live in the land, but when they try to reproduce, they have to go to the water. So it is aquatic and terrestrial at the same time. They have both adaptations. They can stay here, they can stay there. They can stay inland, they can stay in the water. Aquatic adaptation, what make them stay in the water? Their eggs can stay in the water. They don't have shells. They have the tadpole. Tadpole is a tailed aquatic larva of amphibian. Their larva that lives in the water, they have that tail that has gills. So gills, remember, gills is a respiratory system from water, not our respiratory system from land, from air, from the atmosphere. Gills is the respiratory system that help you get the gases from water. So this is what they have, but they also have other adaptations that help them to live on Earth or in the land, to make them terrestrial as well. So they have, the adult ones have lung, so there are phases here: egg, larva, and adult. Egg and larva, they have the water adaptation or aquatic adaptation. The eggs, they don't have shells. The larva, they have the tadpole. The tadpole is tailed. The tadpole generally is aquatic larva. The larva is called a tadpole. And they have this form or this stage of their life of these amphibians that have the gills. So whether they don't have shells, they have gills, both of those is aquatic adaptation. So this is for those two stages, eggs and larva. How about the adult? The adult, they live on land. What helps them to live on land as an adult? They have lung to breathe from the air. They have their musculoskeletal system, muscles and bones, meaning, and they have four limbs, and they have moist skin. Moist skin will keep your moisture, keep your water in. Unlike those in the water, the aquatic creatures, they don't need the moist skin because they're always in the water. So they are not afraid to lose their water. They live in the water, but you have to have a moist skin, or these amphibians, they have to have a moist skin in order to keep their moisture inside. And here are different types of amphibians, like frogs, like caecilians. They look like an earthworm or like a snake, but they are not. They are caecilians that do like a frog. The adult lives on the land. The eggs and larvae, they live or they lay their eggs in the water. They hatch into larvae. Both of those are aquatic, and then the adults come and live on land. Toads are another types of amphibians, and toads means tailless. They don't have tails. So kind of similar to frogs. And then the salamanders, and salamanders, they can be either aquatic or terrestrials. Now, the reptiles. Birds came from reptiles. Reptiles, what's in common between the reptiles and mammals, which is the next one? What's in common is amniotes. Amniotes means amnion. An amnion is a sac that contains the egg inside. Sac containing fluid and the egg in that fluid. So what are the amniotes, reptiles that we're talking about right now? and mammals. They said that there's a hypothesis here, and they are still debating about it. The reptiles are four types. The first one is the turtles, and turtles, another adaptation was added, so it's more advanced. Another evolutionary adaptation. So now you have the crocodilians and dinosaurs and birds. And the last one is the lizards and snakes. So there are four types here that came from the ancestor reptiles. So here are examples. Turtles are reptiles. Dinosaurs and birds are reptiles. Crocodilians are reptiles. Lizards and snakes. These are all reptiles. They found some fossils that indicate that the birds were actually a dinosaur coming from a group of dinosaurs called theropods. Like this type of looks like it's coming from dinosaur until it become the actual birds. But the birds they can fly easily because they have more adaptations than the dinosaurs. But the fossil suggested that the birds came from this type of dinosaurs called theropods. And they will have this powerful breast muscles. The muscles in the breast here are very powerful to the extent of helping them to move and fly. They have a waterproof, insulated feather, and they have their red-tailed mania and so on. So this is a suggestion. So there are some similarities between the birds and the dinosaurs. The last one is the mammals. And the mammals, dinosaurs lived for a long time, for millions of years, but after their extinction 65 million years ago, mammals started and diversified. And they can divide the mammals into three groups. Monotremes. Monotremes are the ones that have a single hole. Marsupials, they looks like a pouch shaped, and Eutherians, which is coming from placenta. They have placenta. You know, the placenta that connects the fetus to the mother's uterus. So whatever a mammalian that have this placenta, they called Eutherians. So the monotremes, the one that have a single hole, the ones that still exist, it is not an advanced one. We have only two remaining of those, which is the duck-billed platypus, like this. Platypus means flat-footed. Platypus, flat-footed. Here is one, and the other one is the short-breeked ecdina, the ecdina. So those are the only types that still of monotremes, which is less advanced type of mammals. The next, that's a little bit more advanced types of mammals are the marsupials. And marsupials, they mature in pouch. Marsupial means pouch. They mature in a pouch. There is a little bit of pregnancy, but these marsupials, they will give birth to an embryo that's still not ready yet. It will complete its maturation within a pouch. And there is an attachment by something attached to a nipple. The nipple and then a pouch, and they continue and they finish there like this. They live here connected by a nipple, and they live in that pouch until they completely maturate. Most of these marsupials, they live in Australia for a reason. Australia, even though it is a land, I mean, it's an island, it's a big island, but it used to be a part of the continent. But later on, there was a split and it stayed by itself. So all the evolutions that happened to these mammals later on, they did not affect much in Australia. So they still kept these types of marsupials, something like the kangaroo. The kangaroo do the same thing. They have a little bit of a pregnancy, and then the embryo not ready yet, but it go in a pouch connected to the nipple and stay there until it maturate, and then it separate. So they keep them in that pouch. These are called marsupials. Eutherians, on the other hand, they are born fully developed, and they are connected by placenta, not unlike the marsupials. And the placenta connect the fetus to the uterus, the uterine wall. And obviously, because of that placenta, like here, this placenta is the thing that take the oxygen and the nutrients to the embryo, and it takes away carbon dioxide and waste products from the embryo to the mom, placenta. So anything that have a placenta, we call it Eutherian. Here are some Eutherians that have this, like dogs. Most of them are terrestrials. Terrestrial again means live on Earth. Bats, there are 1,000 types of species of bats, but it's considered Eutherian. So bats have placenta. Dogs have placenta. Uh, the aquatic mammals, something like a dolphin, they also have placenta, like cetaceans. So now we are coming closer to humans. When did we arrive? The evolution started from about 5,000 million years ago, and it goes like evolution after evolution after evolution. And the first thing that appeared, we will talk about the first time when the Homo sapien is our species. Remember, species is one of the orders, come from one to one to one until the species, our species is Homo sapien. So here it is. We are a phylum of the chordates, vertebrates, but we are a phylum of chordates. What type of chordates? Mammals, coming from primates, order of primates. So human are phylum of chordates, mammals that come from primates. And here is the evolutionary adaptation that come. Lemurs is the least advanced, and then another evolution added to have the tertiaries, and then New World monkey came, and then Old World monkey came, and then the gibbons, and then the orangutans, and then gorillas, chimpanzees, and then bonobos, and then the Australopithecus, and this disappeared. All these are considered apes, starting from here, from the gibbons all the way down. These are considered apes. So here is the chimpanzee and bonobos, and this Australopithecus. These extinct already. They disappeared. We don't have it anymore. And then humans And Homo sapiens, the rest of the Homo sapiens, they disappeared as well. So humans are the most advanced, and you're going down, advancing. The first three are not, the first four actually are not considered apes. Apes is starting from the gibbons, but before that, it is type of primates, but it's not considered apes yet. So what's in common between the primates? We are part of the primates. As a group, it's primates. All primates have a large brain, binocular vision, like two eyes. They have limbs, like upper limb and lower limb, that contain joints, limbs, and digits. All of them have the same thing. They have complex behaviors. They can like predict, they can think, they can plan. It's more of complex behavior. And they have extended parental cares. They keep their kids or their infants for some time, and until they grow, and then until they be able to be strong enough and mature enough to live on their own. They all share the same thing. So if you look at the primates as a group, it can be further divided into non-arthropods and arthropods. I mean, arthropods and anthropoids and non-arthropods. Anthropods, the prefix anthro means humans. Non-anthropoids, not humans. Anthropoids, anthro means human. So anthropoids belong to humans. The lineage of humans is called hominins, and it splits from other primates about 5 to 6 million years ago. So you need to remember this. Hominins, where did we, as hominins, which is our lineage, separated from the primates 6 to 7 million years ago. There are other lineages evolved, but they disappeared. Only our lineage is the one that continues. So how the humans evolved? Homo sapiens is the first thing, or this is our species, Homo sapiens. And the very first one lived about 4 to 2.9 million years ago, like Australopithecus afarensis. Australopithecus afarensis. This is the earliest hominin that have the human traits. Like the bipedalism. What's the bipedalism? Bipedal, 2 legs. They walk on 2 legs. This is the earliest one that used that. And they found fossils that suggest that, the presence of those, and they call them Lucy. And the next one to evolve after that is Homo habilis. And Homo habilis was about 2.4 to 1.6 million years ago. The brains is intermediate, not as big, and they use their foot. And this is the oldest known member of our own genus. Followed by, this was followed by the Homo erectus, and Homo erectus is the first one to immigrate out of Africa. Obviously, according to the biologist, life of ancient ancestor humans used to be in Africa. And the first one that came out of Africa is Homo erectus. And by the way, Homo erectus, Homo is coming from hominin, which is humans. Erectus means standing up, erect like this, standing up. And these are the ones that left Africa and they started to go like to Asia, and then later on to Europe and Australia. This will followed by Homo neanderthalians or Homo neanderthalensis. And they did some DNA analysis that Neanderthals, they found that Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, uh, they are not direct relative, uh, but interbred. They came together to produce other species. So this Homo neanderthals, they were like 350,000 to 30,000. Homo sapiens started 200,000 years ago, so they coexisted, and there is suggestion that they interbred, like they came together for reproduction. But the Homo sapien, which is from Africa, our species spread into Asia. They go to Asia about 50,000 years ago, and then later on they go to Europe and Australia. A couple more things to know: that humans did not evolve from chimps. They are not, but they came from the same ancestor from which come chimps, and we came from the same ancestor. We didn't came from them. Um, the human evolution did not proceed from one species to the next. It's an orderly precision for many species. Like this species continue to have its own evolution, and then our species continue to have its own evolution. It's not like one and then it's over and then the next one came more advanced. No, they continue to have, they coexisted. They continue to do their own evolution, including us. We have our human evolution, and others, they continue their own evolution in a different way. And they also said that in human evolution, the features did not evolve all at once. It came one after one, like upright position was one of the very first thing. And then they started to do some primitive speech a little bit. And then they started to articulate more, and so on. They started to evolve one after one after one. When did we arrive? The genus Homos in general was about 2 million years ago. Homo sapiens was about 0.2 million years ago. And that's it for this chapter. This is the end of chapter 10, which is animals, which is biodiversity 3.